What are Trump and Infantino up to now? Just watch this. You all remember that brutal challenge by Balogun that got him sent off against Bosnia. A red card means an automatic suspension, so he shouldn't be allowed to play in the next match. Well, FIFA somehow decided they could serve that suspension in a different match instead. That meant he was back in the starting lineup against Belgium. That's like taking Ronaldo's hat-trick against Spain at the 2018 World Cup and counting it toward today's match instead. And don't even get me started on the refereeing, it's completely out of control. Come on, what kind of football rules are these? This is an absolute circus. This has genuinely been some of the worst officiating in World Cup history. Referees seem incapable of spotting obvious incidents on their own. Almost every major decision has to come from VAR, and it's been happening throughout the entire tournament. VAR is supposed to correct clear mistakes, not do the referee's job for them. When officials constantly wait for the video review instead of making confident decisions, the flow of the game disappears. They're turning football into something that's becoming harder and harder to watch. I already talked about Portugal's problems before, and this game against Spain only confirmed everything. Isn't it crazy that a 41-year-old player can stay on the pitch for 100 minutes, looking like you're basically playing with one man less, and it never even crosses the coach's mind to substitute him? Meanwhile, you have Gonçalo Ramos on the bench, the same player who scored the winning goal that sent Portugal into the round of 16. As great as Ronaldo has been, Portugal's midfield, which many considered the best at the tournament, suddenly looks like one of the worst. Vitinha has been unrecognizable because there's no one in attack he can actually feed with passes. The entire attack is slow, static, and lifeless. Then you have João Felix, a player who spent season after season trying to rediscover himself on loan, and Rafael Leão, who gives you one great game followed by 10 poor ones. Yet somehow people ended up blaming the midfield for Portugal's performances. I honestly think Portugal will only start reaching its true potential at the next major tournaments, once this team goes through a proper rebuild. Germany is out, not to Brazil, not to France, to Paraguay, a team that completed 161 passes to Germany's 719 and won anyway. The defending champions were dragged deep into extra time by Cape Verde. Cape Verde, the smallest nation ever to play at a World Cup, and were only saved by a deflected own goal off a defender's arm, with the game finally ending in the 124th minute. This is the biggest tournament in history. 3 countries, 104 games, and somehow it feels smaller than any World Cup you've ever watched. 3 weeks ago, the Giants stopped scaring anyone. That was the warning. What happened since is the proof, because the group stage told us something was off. Spain, 0-0 with Cape Verde. Brazil, 1-1 with Morocco. Belgium held by Egypt. Back then you could still call it rust. Early nerves, big teams pacing themselves. Then the knockouts arrived and the pattern stopped hiding. Germany, gone. The Netherlands, gone. Beaten by Morocco on penalties. Croatia, gone. Colombia won Portugal's group, which quietly killed the one matchup the entire world was waiting for. Messi against Ronaldo, one last time. And Argentina, champions of the world, had to fight past the 120th minute to escape a team like Cape Verde. Even the legends watching couldn't pretend otherwise. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Levon Fox, nearly in tears at the final whistle, not for Argentina. For Cape Verde, a small island with big dreams, he called them, before saying the part that should terrify every giant. They played without fear, without respect, and for long stretches they played better than the world champions. Thierry Henry sat next to him, calling it magical. And notice who nobody was talking about: Argentina. When the winners go quiet and the losers get the tribute, something in football has flipped. Put yourself on the touchline for a second. You're the Germany coach. How do you prepare for Paraguay? You can't press a team that doesn't want the ball. You can't counter a team that never attacks. Your side completes 700 passes, creates almost nothing, because the opponent isn't playing football against you. They're playing structure. 11 men, 1 block, 90 minutes, penalties. But here's the strange part. Even the drama feels flat. 48 teams meant a group stage with almost no giant against giant. More mismatches, more upsets technically, but an upset only means something when it interrupts greatness. When everything is an upset, nothing is, and the tournament has no heartbeat. Games scattered across a continent, 3 time zones, corporate seats in cavernous NFL stadiums. Every previous World Cup had a sound, one host nation living and dying with every match. This one has a schedule. Even when a favourite wins, look closer. France beat Paraguay 1-0, a Mbappé penalty in the 70th minute, awarded after a VAR review. The best team in the tournament, and the first half produced 0 shots on target from either side. That has happened 3 times in World Cup knockout history since 1966. Paraguay completed 54% of their passes, the lowest ever recorded in a knockout game, and still nearly dragged the favourite toward another shootout in 100-degree heat, while fans hid from the sun in the concourse. Deschamps admitted it afterwards. Paraguay used every trick in the book. That's the winning coach talking. 1 penalty, 90 minutes of attrition, survive and advance. Nobody can call this tournament. Nobody. Now back to the strangest part of this World Cup. In a tournament with no dominant team, no new superstar, and no fear, what's the only storyline actually delivering? 2 men who were supposed to be finished. Messi is currently the tournament's top scorer, followed closely by Mbappe and Haaland. Messi broke Klose's all-time World Cup scoring record. Mbappe is now 2 goals behind Messi's overall mark, hunting the last record that matters. The round of 16 rolls on Brazil against Norway, England against Mexico, and then the big one, Portugal against Spain. And be honest, the fixtures your gut actually cares about are the ones carrying a 39-year-old and a 41-year-old. The main character of the 2026 World Cup is the same as 2006's. Sit with how strange that is and ask the other question. Where is this tournament's new superstar? Every World Cup used to mint one, an Ozil, a James Rodriguez, a 19-year-old Mbappe announcing himself to the planet. We are 5 games from the final, and the breakout star of this World Cup does not exist. Yamal has barely been fit. The most decisive thing a young player has done in the knockouts is win a penalty off the bench. That's the highlight reel. The 2 men carrying this tournament were carrying it 20 years ago, and nobody is arriving to take it from them. Which raises an uncomfortable question. Against Algeria, Messi raked his studs down a defender's leg. Foul given. No card. No VAR. Days later, an American player got a red card through VAR for a challenge pundits compared directly to Messi's. Against Cape Verde, Messi took a free kick while the goalkeeper was still setting his wall, and Cape Verde's own appeals never got the same video scrutiny. Portugal won a VAR penalty against Croatia soft enough that Modric disputed it publicly, and FIFA's president went on camera and said he suffered with Argentina, then remembered to claim neutrality. Let's be honest with the evidence, because that's what separates a question from a conspiracy. Mbappe was denied a penalty by VAR too. Referees have been inconsistent everywhere for everyone. There is no proof that anyone is protecting anyone. But look at it from FIFA's side of the table. A tournament with no giants and no new stars needs Messi and Ronaldo in it. Without those 2 names, this World Cup loses its last connection to greatness, and everyone selling it knows that. I'm not saying anyone picked up a phone, I'm saying every 50-50 decision keeps landing on the same side, and you're allowed to notice, which brings us to the real answer. Football entered its 3rd era, the one where every team runs the same system, where the touchline secrets sit in every analyst's laptop. And here is the consequence nobody predicted. Even the upsets are identical now. Low block, penalties, an own goal deep in extra time. Is this the best World Cup ever, or the flattest? Tell me below. The knockouts are just getting started, and if this tournament somehow finds its magic, or if the wrong team keeps getting the calls, you already know there's a part 3 coming.